everyone, it's Patty. Welcome to the Pixi Dust Designs YouTube channel. For today's card project, we are using a standalone die set called Wizard World and a stamp set that is called Wizard World as well. Loving the die set. Everything is amazing in that die set, and it's just the little stamps are doing something for me. I love them. So made this little card for the neighbor boy. It's getting run across. It's actually been run across the street because it was just his birthday. And we're going to go ahead and get started creating this card. So to start, I used some MFT card scraps that I had, and I cut out the strips using a die from Pink Fresh Studio that I had. And I am going to run tape runner all over my card base. And this is just some really flimsy cardstock. And so I'm going to lay the stripes at an angle like that and build the maroon and gold stripes background. And it didn't take long, and it is so relaxing to do this. I'm not quite sure why. I didn't want to put a whole strip on that one little bit. I'm going to use the scraps that I cut off when I trim this down for that spot, and I'll do the same thing at the other end. All right, so now I'm going to pick up and then start trimming down all of the pieces and then use some of the scraps to finish up. So then we'll get that trimmed down as well. So that adhesive works really well. I like doing it this way better than with glue. I just think it goes better and faster when you do it that way. So loving how that background turned out. There was one spot that needed just a touch of glue, so I took care of that. Because I needed just the teeniest, tiniest little piece. So there we go. So now I am going to make a shadow box card. So I'm scoring, I have a piece of paper that's 6 1/4 by 5 inches. And I'm scoring from each side a 1/2 inch and then an inch, and then I flipped it over and scored on the other side the same thing, a 1/2 inch and an inch. And now I'm using Spellbinder's Essential Diamonds to cut the center of that panel out. I don't know, for some reason diamonds just remind me of magic and magicians. So now I'm going to take that card panel and use my bone folder and just get the edges folded. Do that on both sides. All right, so I did unfold it and then taped it down, and I'm using my Hero Arts gold paste and a Catherine Pooler star stencil and just stenciling the background. And scraping off the excess and putting it back. And I did put the middle piece back in because I have another card project that I'll use on that. So now I'm using a 6 by 4 3/4 piece of cardstock, and I did the scoring at a 1/4 inch and 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm using that same die set, but I'm just using a smaller one of the diamonds to cut that out to create the shadow box. And I didn't have to do it this way. I could have just glued the maroon layer to the back of the star layer. It would have probably worked a little better when folding the card. The card did fold, but it probably would have worked a little better if I didn't do that. So now I am taking all these fabulous dies and cutting them out to coordinate with the colors I've chosen for this card. The one thing I love about Pixi Dust Designs dies is they cut through. They cut through foam. They cut through tape. They cut through the heaviest cardstock. They are so well done. So I've got most, if not all of the pieces almost done. The broom has several parts to it, so getting those cut out, and then I believe I've already cut out the straw portion of the broom. Then coming in with the black to do the robe, which the robe also has, you see there's a split there, and then there's a triangle that comes with the set. Not the one with the circle in it, but there's another longer triangle, and that's actually the back part of the robe that goes through the split. And I don't think I showed it on camera, but I do show it on the finished card. And then for vellum, I'm cutting out the wings for the Quidditch. And then I will go grab some gold foil cardstock and cut out the key and then the ball for the Quidditch. I forget what it's called. I just love these dies. They embossed beautifully on the foil too. So now I'm scoring my maroon portion of the shadow box card. I'm going to glue that onto the starred portion. I might glue it to my card base. I'm trying to remember. It's been a little bit. Okay, so I did glue the maroon portion onto the card base, just wrap the edges around, and then I did the star portion around it. So I've got the maroon border and the showing through on the shadow box card. So now I had cut the scarf out of the gold paper and maroon, and then I saved the little maroon bits so that it looks like stripes on the scarf. So that'll be the interior, kind of figuring things out. I glued the numbers onto the platform marker for stop 9 3/4, and the die is so fabulous that it embosses the numbers on there, so you can just align it and it's perfect every time. And so now I'm working on the wings for the Quidditch ball. I wish I could remember what it was called. So sorting through, working through what I want, and I decided that I want some things to kind of float. So I'm taking some acetate and cutting it into little strips. So gluing that down, and I do finally realize at some point that I'm missing one part of the robe, that it actually fell on the floor and I was neglecting it. So glued the robe in, but I do get that last part in. And then taking the Quidditch ball and gluing it to the acetate strip, and then I'll glue it into the shadow part of the box so it looks like it's flying. Just trying to decide on the position. And then I do something very similar with the lightning bolt for that. It took me a long time to decide what all I wanted, because I wanted to use everything. I really love this die set. So now they've got it figured out, what I like, because there's a couple things I couldn't use and I was kind of disappointed, but I have them for another card. So gluing everything down. So I had glued the lightning bolt onto a little piece of acetate, and then I'm putting that in as floating too. So then I will take a card base and I stamp the sentiment, and I stamp Dobby onto that card base. And I've just used my tuxedo black ink to stamp this. I usually love the VersaFine, but I didn't feel like digging it out. So then we're just going to add the shadow box onto the card base, and that'll complete our card. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.